The most important, I think, technical tool I'm using besides having a good liquid exchange, like Bybit or BitGet or Coinbase or something like that, or Binance, is your trading terminal. It's the place where you're going to interface with the market. These are where I execute all my orders, I manage my open positions, and the reason, there's many reasons to use a terminal. Obviously, I think just like very basically, it gives you a little bit of an edge, I think, than versus just trading through the normal exchange. Um, I listed here kind of just very basic things like you don't need to use a VPN if you're using a trading terminal. A trading terminal is technically an API into your exchange, meaning it's a direct connection that interfaces with the exchange. So if you're using Bybit, Binance, whatever, and you're traveling in the US or Europe or one of these countries, you can use, and you have one of these accounts already, you can just use the trading terminal and don't have to actually use a VPN, which slows down your computer, significantly. Um, the reason I really like it is the just better order types, and I'll go into that a little bit more on the next page. And that's what most of the video will be about, is the better order types. But it's not gonna make or break you, but it gives you a little bit of an edge. Um, Certainly, if you just have more ways that you can get in and out of trades, maximizing quickness to entry, um, maximizing your ability to get a limit fill in various different types quickly as well is also huge. Um, and also another thing I like is you can have many different exchanges and accounts. So I said Bybit, BitGet, and Coinbase. I have all running through my Insilico, and I also have many sub accounts as well. So if I'm trying new things out, or I'm doing different strategies, I'll just put them in different accounts. And what's cool is like the buy, the sell button, all the features are the same between the different accounts and exchanges. So like you go to Coinbase, it takes me like 10 minutes to figure out how to buy and sell again because I don't use it that often, but I have money there. And then I go to Bybit interface and I'm like, oh, how do you do this? And it takes like a little bit of a learning curve or like just like memory recall. But with this, like the buy and sell is the same across all exchanges. And then another cool thing with Insilico is it's easy to pair trade. So long ETH, short Bitcoin, like in one click, or things like that. Or you can short perps, long spot, and collect funding very easily with this. It's a very cool feature here. There's many creative ways you can use it. Um, so specifically, the reason I love it is the order types. Um, there's a lot more than just market buy, market sell, and limit buy, limit sell. Um, those are obviously kind of like bread and butter, and I use those all the time, every week. But there's a couple other things you should have in your toolkit that will, I think, just give you a little bit of an edge. Stop limit is a really great one. Market stop, TWAP, close at quote, hedge position, reverse position, and limit chase. These are ones I use. Insilico has more than this, but just given my strategy and candidly like my size and what I'm doing, like this is all I need. Um, and why don't we just go to the exchange itself? So here is the trading terminal. I have the numbers turned off, the privacy mode, just so I can keep a little bit of privacy here. Um, Again, this is the interface. It's very easy to install. It's free, also, by the way. This is not even a paid shill. It's free. They're not paying me. They don't know who I am. I'm just doing this for the love of the game, honestly. Um, so yeah, this is how I set it up. People really pimp out their setups. Like you can have uh, order books and trades and all this shit. The DOM, like I don't use this software for all of these things, but you can, and this is totally like good. As I would imagine this is as good as anywhere to look at the DOM and to look at order books and whatnot. So I'm just going to delete these. Also, if you're very technically savvy and you're a coder, they have like an interface where you can customize hotkeys and more complex strategies using code. I imagine that there's probably a lot of quant funds and people that are using this to trade quant strategies, but I don't do that, not yet at least. I simply have the chart, which is candidly, I don't chart on it, but I look at it, and you can drag and move positions around, and I'll show you. Positions are up here, orders are here, and then we'll go into the complex orders at the end. But let's first just go into some of these probably not obvious orders. So obvious orders are limit. This is standard. Every exchange has this. You can whatever. You can slide your amount that you want to buy. You can add your TP, and so you can immediately be like, all right, I want to buy at this price, and I want to put my stop, here, and then you can say, all right, how much am I willing to risk? This is this account is basically literally illustrative for this video. I just loaded this up for this, but so you can calculate your risk in dollar terms and then percentage of your account here. So I'm like, all right, I really only want to risk 1%. This is a very small account, but yeah, you can do it right there. Very easy. Market order, pretty self-explanatory. This is simply, you're going to be buying at market. Like we can do it. We can just, how about we open an order right now just to see how easy it is. Actually, let's go back to limit, because I think some of the limit functionality is actually cooler than market. Market, you just buy. But you can hit best, and best will just give you the best limit order. So if I just want to buy $100 of Solana, I have it set up to be cross margin here, but we can talk about that later. But basically, buy, it'll buy best. Let's wait for it to fill. And you can see here, this is my open order down here. And then once it gets filled, it'll get moved up to my positions here. I don't really use BitGet that much. I use Bybit for my main trading. But I do actually like BitGet. I'm using it a little bit more and more. I like to keep money on different exchanges, but this is pretty easy. So yeah, so we have our position open. There's a lot of really cool things that you can do after your position is open in Insilico. So obviously, if I just want to close it, I click it here, this red button, and I could close it over here. You hit reduce, and then you put the amount that you have in, and then you can just go the opposite direction, and it'll close. But I frequently don't do that. When I want to close a position, I'll go over here, and you can close at market, obviously, which is the most expensive. You're a taker, and you'll pay the most fees at that. I only really do market if I'm entering a position on a lower time frame and it's moving fast, and I just want to get in, and I'm pretty price agnostic. I'll do that. Or if I am, again, in a tight position and it's going against me and I just want to get out, and it's moving fast and I don't care about the fees, I just want to get out, I'll go at market. But there's a couple really cool things you can do here. So something I use very frequently is close at quote. So if I hit this button, and I'll just do it because we can just keep opening and closing positions, it will exit this position at whatever the current asking price is. So it gets me, I guess, top of the order books, whatever, and then I get a limit order. So cool. So I'm out. So I'm going to get back into so we can keep doing illustrative examples. So best order here, $100. I'm just going to enter the long. Oops, I have reduce on. Good example. All right. So I have another post only limit order at the best price. It's just taking a second to let me get in. So obviously, if I hit market order here, it would be immediate, right? There's no pause. But with limit, there is some other cool things that candidly aren't offered. Actually, let me turn hedge mode on. Oops, I can't because this is, well, whatever. Let me just do this quickly. So you can, another thing that I love using is you can, similar to at quote, you can use chase order. So the chase order is essentially a limit close, but it just finds the best price. So this isn't a big position, but if you're using a larger position, this can be helpful because it's like, all right, I need to go find the best limit order, and if price is moving with a little bit more volatility, it'll go and try to just be at the top of the order books each time over and over and over again. Let's go back to those complex orders and just look at hedge. So again, these margin modes, at least in BitGet, are cross and isolated. So if I hit this, it's isolated. Isolated lets you manage your leverage. Can I move these around? Yeah. Manage your leverage individually, long and short, and have both long and shorts open. So I'm not going to have that much leverage. It's kind of crazy for this example. Just turn it down to 17. So we're in hedge mode, and it's isolated. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a long. Oh, and I'm limit chasing actually right now. And I'm going to sell a short. So this is really, really cool. So again, I have two positions open. Obviously, these are the the same assets. But you would use this if you had, if you were in a position and it was a long, let's say, and it went up a bunch, and you said, hey, I want to take profits, but I'm not sure what the next direction is. You could just take a short position up here, as essentially closing this long that you opened down here, up here, and then if you were like, well, I think it's actually going to come back down, so you could close your long up here and let it come back down. Or if you're like, hey, I think it's going to keep going upwards, you can close your short and then let it keep going upwards. That's one example. Another thing that I think people use this for a lot is they'll have spot positions open, longs, obviously, and then to take profit on those long positions, they'll just open a short, essentially closing the spot position down. And then, if they want to keep riding the long, they can close the short. And there's many nuances to that strategy, but like if you're holding it for more than a year, like when you're thinking about, capital gains tax treatment and all that, unrealized gains over a year are taxed more favorably than gains that happen within 1 year. So just one thing that you can use hedges for. But let me, all right, so let's go back here. Let's close this at quote. So I'm closing this, I'm closing this short out. Okay, so the short's closed. And I also wanted to show you this. Very, very cool. So obviously the hedge thing that I just showed you here by opening up a long and short, you can do that right here just by clicking it. But what you can also do is hit reverse full position. So if you reverse the full position, I have a long open. Now it's a short. It literally just swaps it, sells it, and then opens it. I think with that, it does it at market, so the fees are way worse. But yeah, it's if you're a scalper or like an intraday like trader, and you're like, all right, I gotta, it's breaking down, I want to go short here. Switch the position. You can literally just do it with one click and it does it versus having to like size it, rescale it over here, all those things. And then obviously hedge, what I just showed you, it just opens up the opposite trade. Okay, what else? So we talked about the limit order. We talked about, I love stop limit. So what stop limit is essentially if price moves above a certain threshold, a trigger. So let's say I'm like, all right, what is Solana? 158. So let's say, okay, hey, I really think Solana needs to move above 162 to confirm to me that it's bullish, but I want to be a little bit cheeky and I want to get my limit order filled at 160. So this is basically saying, all right, the long trigger is here, but I bet you there'll be more volatility. I'll bet you it'll retest 160 so I can get filled here. I use this actually all the time. I love this feature. It's really great for breakout trading too, especially if you're like, hey, I need it to make a higher high. All right, put the higher high here, and then hey, I think it will retest the level. Put the level here, and you can basically get the best of both worlds. Obviously, the risk is that you don't get filled on your order because hey, it broke out and it's just going to keep going. That's one thing to think of, but I really like that. We already showed Chase. This is if you wanted to enter or buy or sell Chase over here. And again, remember Chase is a limit order that will chase the best price basically. So it's not quite as fast as getting filled at market, but if you have a really big position and you're in an altcoin or something, it's a good option to kind of close at the best price if you're not super time sensitive or price agnostic. Like this could be a good thing to do if you're like in a winning trade and you're like, all right, it's time to take profit. I don't think I'm in a super tight spot. I want to get a good price, but I wanted this to fill relatively quickly. Limit Chase is great. I don't use Scale, so I'm not really going to talk about it, but I think this is, if I had to guess, and I've seen that people use this before, I think it spreads orders out and it fills you like bing, 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 like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, however many orders to spread out the impact of your size if you're like a massive trader. So we already talked about market. This is simply just kind of like the most common order. Market stop. This is actually a really good one. Market stop is like a true breakout trade. I use this kind of frequently. If I'm like, hey, let's look at Solana. It's kind of, this isn't like a beautiful chart, but let's say if I was like, all right, 162, again, that example, basically buy. So this is me just saying, hey, when price gets up here, I think it's a breakout, enter immediately and go. So I'll just show you what it looks like. So you can just be like, all right, $100 at 162, buy it. And then you see how it just put that on my chart here. And another feature I really like about Insilico is like you can drag this up and down. I can be like, all right, well, actually not 162. I want to see this make highs locally here, and then I want it to buy. So this is really great, and this is the same type of order as a stop loss. So remember, like if you're setting a stop loss, which is automatic, if you set one, like if you do an order like this, like limit order, like if let's just say 162 is my entry and I want my stop to be 156, $100 here. Oh, I can't do that because it's below player. So let's say 158, 157 is going to be my stop. So look, Insilico will put it in there for you. So again, this can be my limit here. This can be my stop below structure, and it's linked. And then so like if I'm like, hey, this is the open order here. If I don't want this, I'm like, I don't want it. You can click it, all of it disappears. The order and the stop. What were we talking about? We talked about that one. And then TWAP. TWAP is like basically just saying it's another word for like DCA or dollar cost average, time weighted average price. You can tell. I don't really TWAP honestly in Insilico. I do it more with like low cap, trench coins. But again, this is just saying, hey, bid multiple orders over a set time frame with a certain amount of money. Go, and then it'll just buy over time. And so, again, a useful thing to have if you are, maybe you're just loading up, maybe you want to buy spot, and you just want to load up over a certain amount of time. And you're not super, price sensitive in the sense that you're worried about getting stopped out, or maybe you don't want to move the market that much. But that's basically all the orders. This is the main reason I like Insilico. I'm going to close these out. Close a quote. Close a quote. And that filled pretty quickly. The last thing I want to talk about is these complex orders. These are really great. It's really cool what you can do here. You basically can... I have this set up. Yeah, let's do big get. Like, you can do more complex things. Like, if I wanted to be like, I really want a long ETH and I want a short Bitcoin. I just, I think that's what's going to happen. I'm not actually saying that's what I think is going to happen. Who knows? But actually, though, this is a example wallet, so it doesn't have much money in it. So Bitcoin's a little bit hard to trade with the minimum size. But let's see, split equally. Can I do much? Yeah, this is enough. So basically, this is so cool. So you can, with one click, and I have it set to chase, meaning I want it to just find the best limit order, because a lot of times with these like pair trades where you're longing and shorting something with equal size, and you can do different sizes, right? You could tell it to do different sizes here. I actually don't know how to change the size, but I have it set to 50-50, but I know you can change the percentage thresholds. But anyways, let's just do this example, 50-50. Chase, go. Very cool. It's thinking. I don't know what happened to my short. Oh, my short's on Bybit. Oh, I don't know why that is. Oh, that's funny. I don't really want to pull up my other account. Let me... That's so funny. All right, bad example. All right, close the quote. I'm going to pay so much in fees relative for this account, but it's fine. Let's take both these out, and then let's start again. Let's add ETH, and let's short XRP. That's fine. And yeah, I don't know how you... I guess split equally. Oh, maybe it's... Yeah, I don't know. There's probably a way to get a little more nuance with it. But anyways, let's do this again. So long ETH, short XRP, 50-50, limit chase. It's very cool. It shows the algo's working on it. This technology is just so cool. So XRP is filled. ETH is filled. And that's basically it. I mean, it's very cool. There's more things you can do with it too, right? Like, I could be like, all right, I actually want to get way more complex. It doesn't need to be one for one. I want a long ETH, long BTC. I want a short SOL, XRP, short SOL, short SUI. And let's see what happens, right? Like, you could be like, yeah. So now I have a 40% long, 60% short. And there's definitely ways you can play around with these weights. I can look on ChatGPT after this and figure that out very easily. But this is, I think, just so cool. Close that quote. Close that quote. And that's Insilico. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything useful. I mean, I guess, did I talk enough about just basic limit orders and how easy it is to size? I think this is also something so useful. Like, a lot of people, they use like a trade calculator or something, or they do it by hand of how much they should be risking by trade, right? Like, you should always understand what you're risking. But with this, it basically has a calculator right here of how much I'm going to risk. Oh, we should talk more about this. I have it on Hedge. Isolated. Oh, actually, let's go one way. Okay, cool. So now this is not on cross. So again, remember, cross margin means that all your positions are used as collateral. Isolated margin means that each position has its own collateral, meaning if you get liquidated on one position, you don't liquidate your whole account. Cross, it gives you can do way more. Like you can hypothetically have much lower liquidation thresholds, but if you mess up and all your positions are close to liquidation, you can liquidate your whole account. So I think if you're a PA trader or just getting started, just use isolated margin. It's much safer. The only reason to use cross margin is for very specific examples that I think you need to discover what they are, like in your personal journey. But like when I'm trading myself in my personal account, I just use isolated, and it takes some of the mental anxiety out. I sometimes will turn on cross for various reasons, but I'm saying the default should be isolated. Anyways, I hope this is a helpful video for you guys. Have a great weekend, and be well.